Hi everybody, it's Amy Caroline. Welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to my channel. I am going to read some more ghost train stories. I'm going to read some more ghost train stories and then I'm going to show you and then I'm going to show you an example of how Ghost Train can be a documentary on the Travel Channel and the History Channel too. I'm going to show you how episodes and season episodes of Ghost Train can be on the Travel Channel and the Discovery Channel as soon as I read you these stories here, okay? So the first story is the Headless Brakeman. Up in New York, there was a boomer brakeman named Tully who was deadheading home in a caboose one day. The night was dark, stormy, icy. One of Tully's friends, who was the regular brakeman on the run, was out on top of the cars as the train rounded a dangerous curve. It hit a washout and the engine and the first 10 or 12 cars derailed. Tully, who was unhurt, walked up the train to see about his friend. The unfortunate brakeman was lying under one of the cars, decapitated. The shock of seeing his friend killed made Tully settle down. He took a fireman's job on the same railroad and eventually became an engineer. He always tried to avoid the run that his friend had been killed on, but eventually assigned to it. It was take it or lose his job. So he took it. One rainy, cold night, he was approaching the bad curve where his friend had been killed. He saw a red light up ahead and threw the brakes into emergency. The fireman went up the track to look but couldn't see anything. Tully was sure he had seen a warning light, so he walked up to take a look for himself. The light reappeared right away, and Tully walked toward it. As he got closer, he could see the light was in an old-fashioned red railroad lantern as it swung from side to side in a warning signal or washout. The lantern seemed to emulate a man clad in the blue overalls worn by old-time brakeman. Tully was excited now and began running towards the brakeman, yelling, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" When he got close enough to see the figure clearly, he stopped suddenly and shook with terror. the brakeman had no head. The brakeman had no head. Suddenly there was nothing. Suddenly there was nothing there. Sure that this was a warning from his old friend, Tolley walked around the curve, and Tolley was right. There was a washout at the same place where the fatal wreck had happened so many years ago. After the wrecking crew cleared the tracks and Tolley brought his train home, he handed his reassassination. So listen. Listen. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back and read the story in a few minutes. But first, 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 but first, first, I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys an example. I want to show you guys an example of what you guys can do with Ghost Train. Okay, if you guys are a documentary writer, if you know somebody that's a documentary writer, if you work for the Travel Channel Company, if you work for the Travel Channel Company, if you're a documentary writer, and if you're a writer and you put shows and documentaries on the Travel Channel, well, guess what? One day, you can put season episodes. One day you can put season episodes, like, for example, the Phantom Station Master, and also the Headless Brakeman. You can put season episodes on you can put season episodes on the Travel Channel and the History Channel too, and stuff like that. And you can put them as season episodes if you want to, okay? If you want to do that one day, okay? It's not gonna be my job. You guys are the ones that have to do that, okay? It's gonna be the Travel Channel's job. And it's gonna be your job. Okay? If you're a documentary writer, like I said, if you write documentaries, if you're a documentary writer, and if you're a documentary TV show writer, and if you work for the Travel Channel, it's going to be your job, okay? It's going to be your job, okay? Not me, okay? All right? So, listen. I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about, okay? All right? So I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about here. And we'll go from there, okay? All right? Here's an episode, Here's an example of haunted hotels, and how they did it. Haunted Hotels was already a documentary. Now we got to get Ghost Train to be a documentary, okay? So I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to read you the stories of Ghost Train after this, okay? So here we go, okay? Here's an example.
Hard day's travel, a charming inn can be just the place for a good night's rest. But there are some hotels that offer much more than meets the eye. In California's Gold Rush country, the ghost of a murdering gambler plays on at an historic hotel.
Your arms go cold and goosebumpy and the hair stand up.
In the American South, an horrific night in a cemetery keeps a young spirit from ever resting in peace.
You lose your breath and try to scream, but nothing comes out.
And in an English coaching inn, not even death can keep a murderous spectre at bay.
He had got his revenge back. The dead can do things like that.
Travel into a world of phantoms, where the past reaches into the present, and lost souls roam free. Sometimes the most elegant hotels are also the most troubled. Filled with lonely spectres searching for peace, haunted by history. Rice Hope Plantation Inn rests on America's southeast coast, just an hour's drive from the city of Charleston, South Carolina. This 18th century Federalist mansion by the Cooper River welcomes guests and, some say, ghosts.
It's the ghost, it's the girl. Don't you see that? And her whole face went white and she was staring.
The sense of history here goes far beyond the inn.
You come up to these gates and you look through them and there are these huge 400-year-old live oak trees that are full of Spanish moss, and this incredible eerie feeling comes over you.
As innkeeper Lou Edens explains, part of that feeling may also come from the story of a young girl named Catherine.
Catherine's grandparents lived on this side of Rice Oak Plantation.
After her sea captain father was lost in a shipwreck, Catherine and her mother moved back to the old family home, Rice Hope Plantation.
She led an idyllic life here. She was the center of attention, and at that time Rice Hope was over 1,700 acres.
Catherine loved the outdoors. There were trees to climb, swings to ride, and the Cooper River was full of surprises.
Catherine looked to nature for a lot of entertainment and by capturing little creatures.
Catherine caught a turtle and kept it as a pet. She could have no idea that she and her new friend would soon leave Rice Hope. Her mother was to marry a man in a distant town, and he had no interest in raising another man's child. Catherine was sent to board at the nearby school under the supervision of the schoolmaster, Mr. Dutarque, a former plantation overseer whose mere presence terrified young children. Catherine quickly became homesick, and she was unable to pay attention in school. The callous schoolmaster had no patience with Catherine's daydreaming, and punished her by forcing her to stay inside and sew. Spending the day confined indoors was a fate worse than death for Catherine. She looked to a familiar friend for comfort.
Catherine was supposed to be sewing, but instead she decided she would go outside and play with her little pet turtle.
She tried to slip away unnoticed, but she had left a clue behind.
She dropped the fabric that she's supposed to be sewing.
Mr. Dutargue realized Catherine was gone and set out after her. He found the lost fabric and followed Catherine's trail to the river's edge. The startled girl tried to explain.
She told him that she only wanted to be outside, and he went into something of a rage, shouting, "If outside is what you want, outside is what you shall have." He took her into the cemetery and lashed her onto a tombstone.
The punishment that awaited Catherine was far worse than a day without fresh air. Long ago, a young girl named Catherine reveled in her life at Ricehope Plantation. But that joy swiftly ended after she was sent to boarding school. There, she looked for solace in the natural world, but found instead her schoolmaster, Mr. Dutargue, determined to teach her a lesson. In a fury, he lashed her to a tombstone in the graveyard.
You want us to be outside? Now you'll be outside!
The schoolmaster left, and Catherine was alone in the cemetery. Soon, night began to fall.
She knew about the creatures of the night, the bobcats. There were even bears in the Carolinas then.
What came next would make her nightmare complete. From the darkened woods, a glowing, angry face began to make its way toward her. Catherine fainted. But then, a human figure stepped from the darkness. It was not a spectre, but a slave carrying a jack-o'-lantern to light his way and to frighten off those who might report him for being out at night. As the man came across Catherine's limp body, he was shocked by what he saw. He ran for help, and Catherine was saved. But she would never find happiness again. The night in the graveyard changed her forever, and the carefree child grew into a suspicious, reclusive adult. Catherine finally died of old age. But some at the inn say she has come home again.
When I'm walking, especially upstairs down that long hall, I feel like there's somebody behind me. It's like I'm not alone.
And guests who stayed in Catherine's old room report they sometimes receive an unexpected visitor.
They had a small carry-on suitcase sitting on a stool and a few books on the same stand as the TV. Right at midnight, the books were literally thrown off of the TV stand, and the suitcase that was sitting on the stool was dumped upside down on the floor.
Perhaps Catherine's apparition was not happy about sharing the room. Or was she trying to send another message? No one can be certain. But she appears to have strong ideas about how her old home should be kept.
Guests kept talking about the door being open. And I would realize, I had closed the door. I'd even locked the door, and they'd say the door was open. So I put a door closer on it. One day I looked, and the door closer screws had been pulled out of the door facing.
Staff members believe Catherine's wishes that day came across loud and clear.
It's a message to me not to close that door. She wants to go outside at her will.
Though it would seem Catherine's spirit travels in a world without barriers, Perhaps a locked door is a troubling reminder of the night she was held against her will. Former Rice Hope innkeeper Doris Kasprak has seen firsthand what an apparent encounter with this spectre can do.
My daughter all of a sudden turned and stared at the back porch. Her whole face went white and she was staring. It's the ghost, it's the girl. She's going up the back steps and she just went into the door. And I get goosebumps even right now just thinking about that one.
On the grounds, on the stairs, in the house, Catherine's spirit is thought to wander every corner of the plantation. The silence of the night is sometimes broken by her footsteps echoing down the halls. And guests lie awake as she passes by their doors.
She had this glow all around her and she just flowed. She didn't walk or fly. It was definitely like flowing.
On nights when the full moon shines, some guests at Rice Hope are met with a haunting sight. It has been over 300 years since young Catherine lived so carefree. Now, she may be making up for lost time.
She's still trying to live that normal life, that carefree life that she would have led had she not had such a traumatic incident when she was 7 years old.
Some specters are scarred forever by a single night.
Okay, so so I'm gonna stop there. So you see that is what we need Ghost Train to do. That is what we need Ghost Train to do. You saw how the apparition you saw on Haunted Hotels. You saw on Haunted Hotels when the apparition of the spirit and the ghost was appearing and then vanishing and also did you did you hear what the narrator was talking about when he was narrating the story? Did you hear what the narrator was talking about when he was telling the story? Did you see did you hear and see how the narrator was telling the story and how the apparitions were appearing and vanishing without a trace and stuff like that and everything? And also, did you see how the story did you see how the story went back in time did you see how the story went back in time back to the 1800s and the 1900s and stuff like that? Did you see how the story went back in time and the apparitions and the ghosts and the spirits were appearing and vanishing without a trace and stuff like that? Did you see that? Well, guess what? That is what I want Ghost Train to do. That is what I want Ghost Train to do. I want them to have I want them to have season episodes Ghost Train. I want them to have season episodes of Ghost Train, like, for example, the Headless Brakeman, and the Headless Train Man of Fairmont, and the Headless Train Man of Fairmont, and the Headless Train Man of Fairmont, and I also want them to have the episode of the Statesville Ghost Train, and also the ghost wreck of Zor Valley, the ghost wreck of Zor Valley, and also the phantom wreck of Raltsburg, West Virginia, West Virginia. So the phantom wreck of Raltsburg, West Virginia, and so yeah. That's what the documentary. That's what the Ghost Train documentary has to be doing. That's what the Ghost Train documentary has to have, and that's what it has to be doing. So that's what it has to be doing. That's what it has to be doing. Like you saw on Haunted Hotels here. Well, guess what? That is what Ghost Train needs to do. That's what Ghost Train needs to do. So I'm going to read this last story, and then I'm going to read another story. And then I'm going to come back later on and show you guys something else, okay? All right? If I have time, okay? If I have time, okay? So the phantom wreck of Raltsburg, West Virginia. In April of a year in the early 1900s, an eastbound morning Baltimore and Ohio train was going downgrade into a valley near Raltsburg, West Virginia. The train jumped the tracks and plunged down to a 200-foot embankment. It was a terrible wreck. 7 passengers were killed outright as they slept, and many others were injured, some dying later. The cause of the wreck was never determined. A few years after the wreck, 2 brothers were walking home at night and passed the scene of the accident. They heard a train whistle in the distance. The brothers knew that no train was due, so they stopped to see if it was a wrecked train or some other unscheduled movement. When the train came into view, they were amazed to see that it was an unscheduled passenger train. Suddenly, the train jumped the tracks and fell down the embankment. The wreck was eerie. The men could see the engine boiler explode and saw the passenger cars burst into flame, but the crash didn't make a sound. Even so, the men decided to go for help. As they ran away, they looked back at the wreck scene. To their amazement, the burning train had disappeared. They ran over to the track and looked down the embankment. There was nothing there. Did the ghost of the Raltsburg wreck return? So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay? It vanished. Anyway, so yeah, just like you saw on Haunted Hotels was already a documentary. Now Ghost Train needs to be. Ghost Train needs to be too. And it's got to have it's got to have apparitions and spirits, and it's got to have the narrator telling the story and letting the story go back in time, like you saw on Haunted Hotels here. So that's what it has to have. Okay. All right. So listen. If you work for the Travel Channel Company, or the History Channel Company, and if you're a documentary writer, if you live in Arizona, if you live in Los Angeles, if you live in New York City, if you live in Massachusetts, Cincinnati, Wyoming, or whatever and stuff like that, if you're a documentary writer, and if you're a show writer, if you're a documentary writer, if you're a documentary writer, and if you're a writer, then put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel and the History Channel, okay? Put Ghost Train on the Travel Channel and the History Channel, okay? All right? And let those apparitions and all those people, let those apparitions and those spirits and those ghosts and those people be seen, okay? All right? So anyway, so yeah, that's all. And also let them be episodes like Phantom Wreck of Roxburgh, and also the Statesville Ghost Train, and the Ghost Wreck of Zor Valley 2, and also the Headless Brakeman, okay, and also the Headless Trainman of Fairmont, okay, all right, so hopefully one day, maybe not right now, but soon, okay? Soon, okay? All right? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and click off and come back and do another video if I have time. So give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell, and I will see you guys later for my next vlog and my next YouTube video, okay? Okay, bye everybody. Bye.